bless you all. Thank you so much. Goodness, right? The selflessness that was displayed to fund our campaign. And when I say our campaign, y'all make no mistake, this is our campaign. I am not alone. I am not alone. I am not alone in this. I told you how I came to be here by no accident. I am not alone. This is not a me thing, this is a we thing. Make no mistake about it. But you talk about selflessness. The governor position, the governor office is a position of servant leadership.
Right.
The office is a position to serve we the people. Article 1, Section 1, power is inherent in the people. And government derives its just powers from the consent of the governor, and it is the government's job to protect and to maintain the individual rights of citizens. We must not mistake that or forget that. Servant leadership. This is a republic, a constitutional republic, which is unique among all nations of this world, to say that when our founders declared their independence, obtained their independence, and created that beautiful document known as the United States Constitution, they determined that that power in that document, that they would give power back to the citizens. And so when they said that they declared their independence for a concept of freedom and independence, they truly meant it. And they codified it, and they put it in writing, and they empowered and endured that to a legacy that we inherited and we forgot, because they stopped teaching civics in schools, and you see what they're trying to fill it in with. So when we stop indoctrinating our children and we start educating our children, we will not buy into this narrative that we are prejudicing against anybody, because that's not what America stands for. We are educating our children.
That's right.
But we understand that America is a nation of love and inclusion and diversity, and we don't run from that word diversity. But we don't embrace a word such as equity. We embrace a word known as merit. That if you want something in America, you work for what you want in America. It does not matter your race, creed, color, or religion. But we do understand there is a disparity, and we will speak of it. And I will talk about color every single day of the week, twice on Sunday if need be. I'm not going to let one party talk about color all day long when I am a Republican, the party that ended slavery, the party that fought for women's rights, the party that passed civil rights, the party that will ensure parents' rights. I will claim true. I am a constitutional Christian conservative and a Republican of Washington State. Can you hear me? When a group of individuals walked away from a party known as the Whig Party and declared a new party called the Republican Party, remember what that was about, even though we weren't there. But I want you to understand that bit of history. They walked away from that big popular party called the Whig Party, and they created something new. How dare they? So we're going to take it back. Oh, I thought about it. Oh, I'm fed up with the establishment. And no offense to anyone, but take it as you will. We are not the people, we the people, that continue to feed a system that says, you who have the money control we the people. That doesn't play anymore. That's done. That's done. You keep your money, we'll take our country back. We'll take our country back.
So Washington is a sanctuary state in a number of ways.
Yes.
We have for illegals, for abortion,
Yeah.
but it's not, I think it's well known that it is a sanctuary state for the gangs.
Yeah.
And what is your plan to address all three of those?
Oh, I love it. So, number one, in day one, we will declare that Washington State will no longer be a sanctuary state. That's number one. And then we'll move to support an initiative that I know will be forthcoming from, Representative Jim Walsh, on passing an initiative that'll support federal enforcement of our federal laws. Imagine that, enforcement of our federal laws and cooperating with ICE. So again, this is not lacking compassion or targeting individuals. What we're saying is simply this: you don't invite the entire town to come to dinner in your house when you cannot feed your own children. We're not feeding the citizens of Washington State when we have a homeless population. I never even finished that discussion, and I'm still tracking with you. And then when we're talking about gangs and law and order, I've been formally trained in Joint Special Operations Task Forces. The common sense of forming joint task forces is something that is not strange to me. I formed them, I've worked with them, and I understand how to pull task force from different agencies. The DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, leads the initiative of drug enforcement in Washington State. They are the primary agency that has led the seizures of drugs and have targeted narco-terrorists in Washington. That was a specialty of mine, targeting and interdicting narco-terrorists, AKA drug dealers. Would you rather have a governor that has actually done that, or someone who still thinks they're a police officer with a super suit? That is not a disparity, that is just a fact. My experience is on targeting drug dealers for real, not just enforcing laws, and I respect all law enforcement professionals. But this is a time for strategic leadership to target these criminal organizations, not the time to take over the jobs of law enforcement officials. We can use more police officers, so I would encourage people to go back to the streets and do that, but leave the big stuff to the experienced professionals. So I have the strategies, I've actually done that. I've actually targeted not only terrorists, but narco-terrorists. Human trafficking is a problem in Washington State. So what?
This is all driven by the gang.
Exactly, and those were the next words coming out of my mouth. And so when you have these cartels, which by the way we have at least 3 operating in Washington State, the Sinaloa cartel operating in Northeast Washington, the Jalisco New Generation operating in Southwest Washington, and the Beltran-Lleva cartel operating in Northwest Washington. This was not a secret to me when I was last working Special Forces Intelligence, where I retired from. So I just could not work in American soil because of the title from which I operated, but I worked with the agencies who worked in Washington State. I understand that we have agencies working here. My friends still work in those agencies working here. I understand what they do. I know how to do it, and we will get it done. So, yes.
I'm so sorry.
But please, jump
I
in.
think it's really important for you to focus on this, that there's more than just some initiative that we're all going to sign
Yeah.
to Jim Walsh.
Yeah.
Like, as the governor, you
Yeah.
actually have the power to have ICE come
Yes.
in and do these things, have federal law enforcement.
It's a matter of utilizing federal agencies. I don't have the power over them, but I have the power to initiate. And those agencies are ready to jump in and do their jobs. They just need that chief executive officer to let them do their job, to cooperate and form those joint task forces with them. And I know which agencies to partner with and how to utilize them. So just to that, in terms of a solution, I plan on growing the Washington State Patrol. So let me give you a solution. Instead of telling the chief of the State Patrol to do his job, enforce the law, which every law enforcement officer knows that, let me give you a solution. I will grow the Washington State Patrol. I will create a fusion center larger than has been tried, because there's a joint fusion center. I'm not trying to give away secrets, but there is, and it's not led by the Washington State Patrol. Ours will be. We need to bring those officers to federal training, which is in Georgia, get them federal training, and then I'll send them to Virginia, and I'll let them learn where that is and what it is at a different time. I don't do what other people do and share secrets. I did have someone ask me what my relationship was with the Central Intelligence Agency, and it was simply this. Yes. That we work with different agencies to accomplish strategic outcomes. That's just common sense. But those agencies are not supposed to operate in American soil. we will utilize the agencies that do operate in American soil to get the outcomes to protect citizens of Washington State. We have a northern border crisis with human trafficking that no one talks about. We have a port crisis. China is a threat to the United States of America, and China is a threat to Washington State. China is a threat to buying up our land, our agricultural land, our property. China is a threat. There's a reason why, and you guys will learn, and we'll put this on our website in the next week. I worked in Taiwan against the One China policy. I've targeted China working throughout the Asia Pacific, stealing technology, proliferating technology, and peddling and precursor product for methamphetamines through South America, coming across the border. I was on our southern border, not for a photo shoot, but to visit my friend Mark Lamb, Sheriff Lamb, who's America's sheriff. I know you did a show. He's a personal friend, and his family, and we were doing updates. I know border security. I taught border security. There's that. I will be presenting a youth crime bill because we have a problem right now in Washington State where young people are committing crime like it's no tomorrow. And our laws right now do not support law enforcement to be able to apprehend, investigate, and bring accountability to young people. So now we have these criminal organizations that are using young people to commit crimes, and they can't even arrest them or investigate them, and then that is now a new way of committing crimes and getting away with it and continue to. Why has no one talked about this with all of these public safety plans, and you have these former sheriffs, you have these attorney generals, and no one has talked about youth crime when it is off the charts in Washington State? Am I wrong in any of this? You see what we're talking about. How could they not see this when every police officer in this state knows what I just said is a major issue, if not the major issue? You give them back police pursuit, which we just did with those amazing initiatives, then they will do their jobs. You hold those judges and prosecutors by bringing forth what I call, well, a judicial watch, to where we will rate those judges and prosecutors based on their prosecutorial discretion or judicial discretion. If you are releasing criminals back out to reoffend, you will get a low rating. Come election time, we will remember, because I, in my office, will publish your judicial rating, your prosecutorial rating. And maybe you won't get elected again because people want public safety. They don't care what your politics are. Mental health. I got you.
He doesn't know if anything will happen to those issues. And I just want to know, because, how do I put this?
Treat causes, not symptoms.
He has come to me telling me that he has decided that life isn't worth it anymore. And I have tried telling him and showing him things in life to look forward to, and he just does not see it.
I got you.
It's an epidemic.
Do you know Jesus?
I got you. So let me give my solution real quick. Mental health is a crisis in Washington State. Many of us fought against the lockdowns and the mandates. I want everybody to understand something. This is a common sense for you. The studies haven't come out, but they will be out any day now. When you lock down and you isolate individuals, you isolate human beings from each other. For young people, we call it Piaget's theory of cognitive development. You can Google it as I speak.
100% right.
Young people have a certain social engagement need, and when you separate young people from one another, you're interfering with their natural cognitive development, their social development. Because as soon as they opened up the schools, parents, grandparents in this room, you can tell me if I'm wrong or right and yell it out. I don't mind. I'll take the heat. It's called accountability. But when those children went back to school, did you notice the spike in abnormal behavior, the behavioral issues within the classroom? I can tell you the teachers knew that. It's because you isolated and separated the children. You saw an increase in depression and mental health. You saw an increase because depression, anxiety, there's a direct correlation. And drug use and alcohol use, addiction, oh, homelessness, maybe, yes, in fact.
One more question. With regards to working with agencies to tackle the drug crisis, Idaho recently condemned and actually decided to bar the FBI in certain pursuits. If you were to run a compact or any sort of project to work with multiple agencies, would you also be working with that in consideration with Idaho or maybe even Oregon that have also similarly barred the FBI because of politicization?
So I will say, I'm not going to bar the FBI at all. So when people say bar the FBI, I say this respectfully, people don't know what they don't know. The FBI leads what we call illicit finance. So everybody can Google that and take this home with you. Google Justice Department illicit finance. The illicit finance department, that's how we go after cartel money. And I'm giving you a little bit of my secret stuff now, right? You go after their money. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah, and there's so many other things. Imagine all of a sudden you're in someone's pocketbook, you're messing with their whole cartel, their whole network goes sideways when you do that. That is controlled by the Department of Justice. And so the Department of Justice has assets that we will need in Washington State. That's where those fusion centers come from. Again, experience matters, assets matter. They don't control us, 10th Amendment, we control us. So we don't bend or kneel to the federal government.
Yeah.
They are here as a courtesy. We will work with them, but we don't work for them. We will utilize them, they will not utilize us. That is the difference with a governor with a backbone versus a governor without one at all. And then working with other states, it's just common sense. Well, of course we will. We will have a Pacific Northwest compact because our borders, we must. And also with the Canadian Mounted Police and Canadian authorities on our northern border. We will do that. For our port system, we have what we call an EEZ. That is called an economic exclusion zone. Again, I work maritime security. I don't know everything. I don't do math. Many of you know that. So I don't take math questions. But that I do know. Maritime security. I also know how to track international shipping. I do. And there's technology that I know how to utilize and tap into. And so do the other professionals who work maritime security. Again, we can talk about law enforcement or we can talk about actually securing our state. I know how to do that. And I've worked in the Asia Pacific area of operation for my last years of, well, working internationally. That makes a difference. There's a reason why I spoke Mandarin Chinese. There's a reason why I worked in Taiwan. There's a reason why I worked in South Asia and all throughout the Asia Pacific. I will utilize that knowledge, experience, and skill sets to not only secure our state, but to also build economic security for our state, trades, but also hold accountability against the Chinese threat. And I'm not just saying that to attack China, but they are a national security threat. I will say that over and over again. And we will bring a bill forward. I will initiate that immediately to say they will no longer buy our land. The Chinese Communist Party will not buy our land, and it will be retroactive. You sell or you lose it. You sell it or you lose it. That ownership transfers. Whether you want to sell it at fair market value, you just want to give it back to us, we'll take it free. Sorry, China, we ain't playing no more. And I can go further, but I don't want to break anybody's hearts. We are not going to allow corporates anything to buy up everything. We're not playing that anymore. I'm not going to single out anybody.